Imagine you are a fitness instructor. You love to exercise, you love to run and cycle and compete. But one day you pass out in front of your class and you later learn that you need a heart transplant. Well, our guest today experienced all of that and she lived to tell an amazing story. In fact, she lived to tell her story in this best-selling book, Change of Heart by Kristy Sidlar. It's my journey of transplantation, revelation, and transplantation, revelation, and transformation is now a best-selling book in hardcover, paperback, and ebook. I'm Elizabeth Ann Atkins, and here on Book Talks, we introduce you to the amazing authors of Two Sisters Writing and Publishing. And I couldn't be more honored and delighted to introduce you to best-selling author Kristy Sidlar. Welcome, Kristy.
Thank you. It's so cool to hear you say best-selling author.
It's the truth. The hardcover version is number 32 on Amazon in the category of American Heart Association Nutrition, and the paperback is number 51. And you're having excellent sales because your story is so very remarkable. So can you start, Kristy, by sharing just a summary of how this all evolved, your story in a nutshell, please?
My story is a 22-year-long journey, so I won't bore you with all the details. You get to read the book for that. But I was a fitness instructor and passed out in front of my class. Just assumed it was that I hadn't eaten properly or was dehydrated. I did months later get diagnosed with a condition that was actually a misdiagnosis. And we found that out probably about 3 years later. It was my 31st birthday. I was training for a triathlon because all the other crazy exercise I was doing was not enough. And when I was by myself in 1999 with no cell phone, because who did that? I got to a stage where my heart rate elevated to this erratic rhythm that I later found out was 280 beats a minute. And I was by myself for 45 minutes on the side of the road. And somebody finally came by with a cell phone, called the paramedics. They used the shock paddles like you see in the movies, got my heart back to a normal rhythm, and was formally diagnosed with, at the time, a very, very rare heart condition. It's more common or more diagnosed today. But essentially the disease that I had, and I love saying that I had because I don't have it anymore, was arrhythmogenic right ventricular dysplasia. And it basically took my healthy right ventricle, turned it into a porous sponge, and really decreased my efficiency and ability to beat the heart the way it should. And it was a progressive disease. So the worst part about all of it was being told that your heart is going to get worse the more you exercise. That was a tough pill to follow. But I took it for what it was and decided to, listen to my doctors and do what I could to keep myself healthy and happy, but knowing full well at some point the journey would end, or at least the next phase would begin at a heart transplant.
Wow, Kristy. So the amazing thing about your book is that you chronicle the whole story and you share the evolution of all the medical care that you experienced and the amazing team of medical professionals who helped you, as well as your friends and family. So it's really an inspiring and fast-paced read. Can you take us up to the time of learning you needed a transplant and then actually getting the call?
Yeah. And I love that we're doing this today. For those of your listeners who don't know, April is Donate Life Awareness Month. So the fact that I can share in April how critically important it is to consider being on the donor list. If you've thought about it and haven't checked that box on your driver's license, please do so. But yeah, the journey of leading up to the transplant and the transplant itself, it's a real juxtaposition about how things played out. So we knew there was a point at which my health was getting much worse. We needed to go from seeing me as a heart failure patient to an advanced heart failure patient. And at that point, I was introduced to my advanced heart failure and heart transplant doctor. We knew I wasn't in a dire state that I had to be hospitalized, but we knew that my condition was really progressing. And based on a lot of my medical testing, I was much worse off than anybody would have ever thought looking at me. Most people didn't know I was a heart patient. Most people didn't know that I had, a life-threatening illness that I would have to get on the heart transplant list. I just tried to live my life and, look and be as healthy as I could. But as we go through the transplant process, which a lot of people don't know, it's very intense. They will test me for, of course, all the cardiac tests, but any kind of cancer, going to the dentist, bone density, anything you can imagine, because they really want to make sure they're giving a heart to a person who's going to be able to sustain life after it's been given to them. And that even includes seeing a psychologist and a sociologist. And, they want to make sure that I'm not addicted to drugs, or that I am going to not be able to be capable of taking my medication on time, or not having the will to take my medication on time. So the testing itself was very arduous, a long process for me. We got to the point where it was clear that I needed to have a heart transplant, unanimous by the team of 18 plus doctors in the room when they looked at my file. We got me ready to get on the list. I was supposed to be on the list on March 10th. On March 6th, I had a really bad weekend of this same kind of arrhythmia, but at this point it had progressed much more, and it was a pretty scary long weekend. I went to the ER on Monday morning. Again, no negligence by my doctors. They told me that there was nothing they could do until they actually were able to get me in for an EKG. Immediately sent me to the ER. I was put into ICU that evening, which was a Monday. They moved my transplant list date up to Tuesday instead of what it was supposed to be on Wednesday. And on Wednesday, I received a heart. And on Thursday, it was in my body.
It's amazing. Amazing. And so Kristy, all of you watching, Kristy does such a great job of building up the suspense, but she's not like a drama queen about it. She's just like, this is what's happening. This, it's very gracious and eloquently told. And you do such a beautiful job of expressing the bittersweet reality that your life-saving heart was a loss to a family. Can you talk about that, Kristy?
Yeah, I can. Yeah. I don't think it came to me immediately when I came out of my anesthesia, but it was not, within the first day that it was, such a joy to know that I was going to be able to do so many things that I had not been able to do for the previous 20 years. But I can't think that way without realizing that somebody had a loss. And I still, to this day, put my hand on my heart every day, and I thank the family and I thank the donor, and I find some specific way. I typically do it after I'm working out, and I find some specific way to channel what it is that she's given me. And I think another aspect of this whole donor recipient relationship, I do know that many recipients have survivor's guilt. And again, if you read my book, you'll realize that I'm not the kind of person who dwells on the negativity. People are going to feel how they're going to feel, and I don't judge anybody for that. But I had to realize and make myself be assured that that person was going to die anyway. And me having to have a heart transplant did not impact how her life ended. It was a great gift to me. I also know that it was absolute grief and sorrow to her family. And although I have communicated with them about how I'm doing, I've not heard back yet. But I believe I will in time. I've really been able to give them a great taste of how much my life has improved because of their loss, and exceptional gratitude I've given to them. But I can't dwell on the fact that I caused something or something happened because of my need.
Wow, beautifully expressed. Kristy shares lots of great photos of the hospital experience that you have to read the book. There's some really cool things, including a Superman cape, which is awesome. And it's just a testimony to her family's tremendous support. So Kristy, your husband, Dave, you said he gets the Husband of the Year award because when you read the story, he's such an integral part of your recovery. And he was so loving, and he truly showed that in sickness and in health, a spouse, a partner is supposed to be there. And he did it so beautifully. Can you talk about Dave a little bit and how he was there and he helped you so much?
Yeah, I'll talk about Dave all day long. He is my favorite human on the planet. We have a very, very special relationship. And I think, crisis and, hardship can do one of two things to a couple. And, fortunately, we were the very positive result of, how well that can turn out. Dave was, one of the things I loved most about how Dave handled this whole scenario and this whole situation. And, for many years, not just the transplant itself, but a lot of people, myself included, have asked him, well, how, everybody talks about how's Kristy doing, and they ask Kristy how she's doing and how's Kristy feeling. And, every now and then somebody would say, well, Dave, but how are you doing? And he would always very consistently say, I would have the opportunity to be really worried, or I could have the opportunity to be really scared, or, really upset, or, think what if. And he said, honestly, if Kristy's okay, I'm okay. And I truly believe that about him. He was not trying to feign being some way he wasn't. Was he worried? Of course. Did we have moments of, talking the what ifs? They were very, very minimal. And he saw my excitement and this absolute energy that I was getting from knowing that I was going to get a second chance, that he just fed off of that. And that, plus the fact that he was there every time and everywhere I needed him.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Such an inspiration to anybody who might be facing a very grave diagnosis. That's beautiful. So, Kristy, talk about how you feel. You just ran a triathlon to celebrate the 1-year anniversary of your transplant. That is remarkable. Just on a daily basis, how do you feel when you wake up? Your body's back to normal. Your heart had doubled or tripled in size. It was huge in the x-rays that you get to see in the book. How do you feel?
Yeah, I feel incredible. I feel grateful. I feel healthy. One of the things that I do talk about in the book is our house has 47 steps from our front door to the street level where we park our car. And it was always a challenge before my heart transplant to get up. And I ran up them yesterday when we were going to an errand. I'm the one who now says, oh, I'll take the garbage up because I can walk up those 47 stairs now. So I have not just a more energy, but I have this outlook on life that I don't want to take for granted what I've been given. And I want to be able to push it to the max, to the point that I know it's the healthy way to do it. I stay in contact with my doctors every time I want to try to do something new. But I love when doctors and other people in some of these support groups that I'm involved in say, you've been given a heart to be able to give yourself a new life. And it's been a big balance during COVID of, what do I isolate, or do I try to live my life? As long as I'm doing it safely, I'm going to live my life. So just knowing that I have this, Kristy 2.0 is alive and well, and I can make sure that I'm pushing every button I can to give myself these experiences that I wasn't able to have for so long. I feel incredible.
I love it. It is just remarkable, Kristy. Can you talk about how you were driven to write a book? We first met last summer, not even a year ago, when I coached you at the Detroit Writing Room on your vision to write a book about your story. Can you talk about your mission behind writing the book, please?
Yes. My mission behind the book is 100% to help other people. Yes, it's a story about my journey. It's a story about what I've gone through. And I think as readers go through the pages, there will be little nuggets that will pop to the surface around how you can take what I've experienced and maybe turn something around in your life. Maybe there's a little way that I handled a situation, or that I switched my mind from something negative to looking at the positive. I'm a silver linings gal. That's going to show throughout the entire book. So part of my mission was using what maybe my small group of friends and family have seen of how I like to approach life and give people positive energy, to giving a much broader audience the opportunity to do that. So that was really what drove me to write it. I think in addition to the story itself, there was a real pull for me to talk about not just my physical health, but what I thought were other dimensions of wellness that really came together to make me a success story. So how can people look at their spiritual wellness, their social wellness, their emotional wellness, their physical wellness, their financial wellness, and their vocational wellness? All of those things for me have been what I've focused on to make sure that I'm a healthy person, not just because I can walk up a flight of stairs, because for a while there I couldn't. But I could do what I could do and look at other things so that my recovery, and I don't mean just recovery from a transplant, but recovery from any kind of trauma, anything that could happen to somebody in their life, anything that's going to be a negative story, a negative impact, we can choose through training our brain muscle and the actions in our lives, how to approach and how to respond to those things. I wanted people to see how I've handled it, and in hopes that they could take something away from it.
Absolutely. And not only do you share your story, as well as the revelation that you lost 2 loved ones to heart attacks or heart disease during the course of your story recently while you were writing the book, but you also created a wellness widget that is a tool that people can use that's in the book to assess their own wellness. Can you talk about the wellness widget, Kristy?
I can, yes. So this is the culmination of the 6 dimensions of wellness that I just mentioned. And for me, the wellness widget was my opportunity to explain to people how I would approach each of those 6 dimensions. I created my own model. There are so many wellness models out there, but I had some areas that were very personal to me that I didn't see in a lot of other wellness models. So I included those. Gave some examples of, maybe negative ways I've approached those and positive ways, given some introspection tools to allow people to think about whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, whether you get, your financial stability from instant gratification or looking long-term, different ways that you can approach wellness. But it really, truly was just a high level, experiential food for thought. And as I was finishing the book, I realized that I want to go deeper, and there will be a book number 2.
Oh, wow. Excellent. That is awesome. Because the tips, will you show? One of the best rules of writing is show, don't tell. And you show how to navigate emotionally and physically trauma, an emotional and physical trauma that you endured. And you made it through with such grace, such elegance and strength. And also, Kristy, your friends and family are remarkable. Can you talk about the support network and the things that they did while you were undergoing all of this?
Yeah. There's so too many to count. Gifts are one thing, and I had amazing support through flowers and soup and blankets and wonderful body pillows that I needed to be able to prop myself up. The list goes on. But I think as we were going into the morning of my surgery and, coming out of that, again, Dave needed a lot of support. My family needed a lot of support. So we had several text message groups and Facebook groups going on. And it wasn't until I had been home from the hospital for probably a week or so it was a couple weeks after my surgery, to just be able to go back and read all of the comments, and people were sending good wishes to me through their friends globally who I'd never met before. There were prayer circles going on in Singapore and in Thailand and in London, and again, people I did not know. And that, it's still incomprehensible to me that people would step away from their busy, crazy, everything they have going on lives, to think about somebody that they didn't even know and send the positive vibes and say the prayers. So that, just the fact that this mushroom cloud of support around me because of my core family and friends network, it was absolutely, absolutely incredible.
That's so beautiful, Kristy. So as people read the book, what do you hope that they take away with it? What action steps do you want them to take?
Yeah, a couple of things. I think the biggest one is from a true heart health perspective. Please know your numbers. That's cholesterol and blood glucose and blood pressure. Know if you have family history. I can tell you that from writing this book, I've had people call me and say, I had no idea we had heart health history within my family. I am going out and getting tested now.
Wow.
So please, please, please know all of the components about your health that you need to know to make sure that you're healthy, but certainly heart healthy. So that's one. As a woman, we take care of everybody else. We don't take care of ourselves. Please make sure that your family is safe and that you're making sure that your children are well, but do not put yourself second or third or fourth or fifth on the list. We need to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves. There is a specific test called a calcium scoring test or a coronary calcium scan. Same thing, different words. It is a non-invasive, inexpensive, unfortunately not very often covered by insurance, but it is and can be a lifesaver. It will give you a very quickly scans your body, looks at your arteries, and will give you a score to see if you are at risk based on blockage for heart disease. Had my uncle and my dear friend had both of those, they would probably both still be alive today. So please take it. It's a big deal, and it's a very, very, very simple test. And then I think the last thing, I mean, I mentioned the checking the box on your driver's license, or, going to the donatelife.org website to become a registered donor. But I think just looking at your overall wellness, again, wellness is not a number on a scale. It's not the size of your jeans. It's not what you put in your mouth. Those are pieces of it, but there's way too much else that you need to be paying attention to. And, I'm a big believer in don't try to swallow the ocean. Find one thing, work at it, do it slowly. Everybody wants quick results. We're an instant gratification society, but pick one thing. You'll be successful at the one thing, and then you go to the next thing and the next thing. So, and you may realize that if your emotional wellness is out of whack, that's probably impacting your physical wellness. And if your spiritual wellness is out of whack, you're probably going to be, not as emotionally well-rounded as you could be. So these things all connect with each other. And I think, understand the whole widget and how everything is interlaced, but don't try to swallow all six at once. Find your lowest hanging fruit, or what's going to make the most impact, work at that, and then go on to the next one.
Beautiful, beautifully said. I love that there's a mission behind this and all these action steps that people can take. So the next action step that everybody should take is to go to Amazon or Barnes & Noble or wherever books are sold online and order your copy of Change of Heart. It's engaging and entertaining, but obviously it has a very solid, strong, life-saving message that could help you and your loved ones. So Kristy, congratulations on your tremendous success. How can people get in touch with you?
They can get in touch with me through my website, which is www.changeofheartmemoir.com. They can send me an email directly to through the website, or Kristy@changeofheartmemoir.com. I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook, probably more than anything else. My Instagram is pretty sad. So that's something that I need to get to at some point. Book, I'll work on my Instagram.
Right.
Elizabeth, I do want to say thank you to you. We, as you know, we just bonded instantly. The whole story of how I got to you is another whole podcast. And a story my mom loves to tell because it was very serendipitous. But, I think anybody who's listening who may be an aspiring author, a couple things. First of all, do it. Don't talk about it. If I can write a book in 8 months while I've got all this other crazy stuff going on in my life, you can do it too. But get a coach. Elizabeth, you were just such a solid need that I had to drive me, to help me to understand how to tell my story, how to promote my story, probably more than anything else. That was a huge takeaway from our time together. So thank you so much for getting me to this stage, because I would probably still be writing notes at this point. A number 32 bestseller on Amazon. So thank you.
You're so welcome. It's an absolute honor and delight, and that you took it to the next level and we published your book. I just think you're an amazing person, Kristy. And again, very, very honored and joyous that you are having such success with this awesome book. You're welcome. Thank you. And everybody, Kristy's an amazing speaker. So if you'd like to invite her to speak about heart health or heart health for women or her mission, you can contact her at her website. Again, changeofheartmemoir.com. She is available for book clubs, media interviews, and everything, because obviously this is a life-saving message and she's an excellent person to express it. So, Kristy, you are a tremendous inspiration to all of us. We're very proud that you are a best-selling author here at Two Sisters Writing and Publishing. And thank you. Any final words?
I think I've said most of it, but I will say one more time. Please take care of yourself. Put yourself first. We only have one life. Granted, fortunately, I got a couple chances at it. We only have one life, and there is only one way to ensure that you're going to be able to get the most out of it, and that's to start paying attention to yourself. So please buy the book. If you don't buy the book, listen to this podcast a couple of times and know that you're special, you're important, you matter, and take care of your health.
Beautiful, 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 Kristy Sidlar. Thank you so very much. And everybody, again, it's Change of Heart, My Journey of Transplantation, Revelation, and Transformation, available on Amazon, hardcover, paperback, and ebook, and other online retailers. So thank you so very much for joining me, Elizabeth Ann Atkins, here at Two Sisters Writing and Publishing, where you got to meet the amazing best-selling author, Kristy Sidlar. I will put all the links and other information in the description box, so everything is just a click away for your convenience. And if you're writing a book, like Kristy said, just do it. You will get those results and help people along the way. So thank you for watching Book Talks. Please do follow me on Twitter at Elizabeth Atkins. And we are so grateful for your viewing today. Be well and happy writing.